Hear the story of Gloria Miserlian, a woman whose life was not just her own, but a continuation of her family's legacy in Placerville. From a very young age, Gloria was well-known and talkative fixture on Main Street. Everybody knew her. Her grandfather's cafe, The Forum, was located there. She was a vibrant, social person, and she grew to become a passionate historian and genealogist. She believed her hometown stories were our true treasure. This is a story of a woman whose love for her family and her community is as enduring as the town she helped preserve for generations to come.
Did you know that in 1849, a miner who had been particularly successful at the Shirt Tail Bend section of town staggered his way into Hangtown with his poke well full of nuggets? He had been working several days short on food rations, and he was weak from hunger. He wandered into the old Carey house, and he placed his fortune on the counter, and he demanded the best and most expensive meal in the house. Well, the waiter informed him that that was eggs and oysters. And he said, "All right, fry me up plenty of both and add some bacon for good measure." And thus was concocted the Hangtown Fry that was known locally and soon all throughout the world. Well, at least that's one of the origins said to be how it came about. One of the other ones is a man who was set for a hanging. And knowing how long it takes to get eggs and oysters, ordered it as his final meal. And then there was the miner. He was opening up what he thought was a can of beans to go with his eggs and bacon, and it turned out to be a can of oysters. Well, I personally believe the first story. It is, after all, what was printed on the Blue Bell coffee shop menus. And I should know, because my father built it. My father was Claire A. Butts, but everybody just called him Babe. He was a part of the Placerville Elks, the American Legion, and the Rotary Club. He was one of the first founders and board members to the El Dorado Savings and Loan. He built and opened up the Blue Bell Coffee Shop in 1938 after the Forum Cafe had burned in its place. You see, Placerville had been no stranger to fires and needing to rebuild. My grandfather, Taylor Butts, had opened up the Forum Cafe in 1911 after arriving to Placerville a few years prior. I am the eldest daughter of Claire A. Butts and Verna Butts, and I spent a lot of time at the Blue Bell. When I was just 2 years old, I began walking the historic streets of Placerville. Times were different back in 1924. Placerville was much smaller and a lot quieter. Besides, everybody knew who I was. I would start at our house off of Coloma Street, and I would make my way to my first stop shortly thereafter at the next door neighbor's house, Dr. Rector, and he would feed me a snack. And then I would move on down the hill, stop at Dr. Rance's house for another snack. And then on to the Tenney Sisters porch swing, mingling. And then down the hill I'd continue on to Main Street until I landed at my grandfather's cafe. For many, many years, I walked the historic streets of Placerville, going in and out of shops. Two of my favorite shops, McKee's hardware store and Mr. Tracy's shoe store. It was because of the movable ladders, which I would enthusiastically ride. But unfortunately, my grandfather's cafe did not last forever. It burnt down in 1937. I was still in high school. And the year after that, my grandfather died. But luckily, Daddy had the means and the money to open up another Bluebell. You see, he had 2 others on the coast, one in Salinas and one in Monterey, so a third one with the same name was really no question. I even served there as a soda fountain girl. Bluebell was really a modern marvel of its time. We had air conditioning, refrigeration units. Our seats and our booths were leather upholstered and room for over 100 people. We even eventually got an automatic dishwasher. There was the dining room. Then there was, oh yes, the banquet hall. Of course, the bar, the dance floor, the cocktail lounge. Oh, and the candy and soda shop in the back. Oh, wow. I mean, can you imagine all of that in one shop in Placerville with over 100 people sitting, eating, drinking, dancing? It was such a joy to watch the Bluebell evolve. By 1941, I had graduated high school and met Bill Schroth. We married. 1 week after our wedding, he was drafted, and he became one of the first tragic casualties of the Pacific theater of World War II. That war broke many hearts. I eventually left Placerville, and I was working for my father at one of the other Bluebells on the coast. And by 1952, I found love again. I met Robert Miserlian. Bob was in the Navy, and, well, after his retirement from service in 1962, we decided to leave his final post in San Diego and move back to Placerville to raise our family and to run the Bluebell. For 10 years, we ran the Bluebell together. I was once again in my hometown, running around, talking to friends, meeting new ones. Now, my daughter might have told you that a quick trip to Rayleigh's would mean that I was gone for hours. I couldn't not stop and talk to my friends while shopping. And then, of course, my daughter loved to say, "Mom, you know everybody in town." As you can imagine, running the Bluebell was a wonderful opportunity to talk to people and serve them really good meals. For the good little girls and good little boys, using their restaurant manners, I would offer them a treat from our treasure box. We served up plenty of Hangtown fries. Yes, we did. It was a good thing that Grandpa put it on the menu at the Forum back in 1911 because it stayed with the Bluebell and it certainly made a name for itself. Yes, it did. I was once again that little girl running around my hometown, making the rounds. You better believe that we used genuine Eastern oysters, premium bacon, and fresh ranch eggs. Anything with the addition of cheese or onions is not a true Hangtown fry. You might ask yourself, well, Gloria, what did it taste like? I couldn't tell you because I really don't like oysters. You know, I hear that the Buttercup Pantry is on Main Street, still serving up the Hangtown fry. I am so pleased to see that Placerville has some of its history intact to it. And that's all I've ever wanted. I wanted Placerville to be seen. Oh, sure, we had the gold rush, but there is so many influential people here, and their stories, they deserve to be told. By 1978, the Native Daughters, the El Dorado chapter, if you know it, Native Daughters of the American Revolution formed their first meeting, and they established, and they held that meeting at my home. Yes, I was a proud charter member. I was an avid historian and genealogist. I made sure that our family visited all of these cemeteries when we would take our vacations so we could go look for our ancestors. I suppose my children would tell you that I drove them a little bit crazy. We don't last forever, but our stories can live on. By 1994, we lost Bob. And although Bob was an avid Navy man and he was born and raised in Detroit, he spent 32 years with me here in El Dorado County. He's right here in this very cemetery. I would come to pass 10 years later in 2004. I had made the move to Klamath Falls a few years prior to my death to be closer to my son. I certainly enjoyed being very close to my family in those later years, but I will tell you, Placerville just remained my home. So I'm proud to say that I was born at the Placerville Sanatorium in 1922, and I am also buried here at Placerville Union Cemetery. I know that my family grieves my loss, but I am so very happy that I've made an impact here. And for those of you that have used your good little boy and girl manners, I invite you all to a treat from the treasure box.